We got some good news today. Good news for open source. Good news for the Linux community. It's still a tough call, really, but we have some good news. So Carl Rochelle, right? Rochelle. He's the founder and CEO of System 76, maker of Linux computers, Cosmic DE, and Pop OS. Today I met with Colorado Senator Matt Ball, co-author of Colorado OS Age Attestation Bill SB 26-051. Senator Ball suggested excluding open source software from the bill. This appears to be a real possibility. Amendments are expected for the California Age Attestation Bill. It's my hope we can move fast enough to influence excluding open source in the CA bill amendments. No illusions. It's an uphill battle, but we have an open door to advocate for the open source community. So that is good. Perhaps the most perverse consequence of age verification laws, many require advertising the age bracket of the user to the open web. How is that protecting children when you're just advertising how old somebody is to the open web? Are you ignorant? No, because this has nothing to do with children. It never had anything to do with children. It's about tracking us. But the problem is you can't enforce this with Linux. You're just going to make things miserable for a lot of people. Linux is open source. The upstream users who are proficient enough and know what the hell they're doing with Linux, they're just going to circumvent it. They're going to remove it. And it's just, you're just wasting your time because that's how Linux works. Linux is open source. Linux is something that's open source and that anybody can go into and just, if they have enough knowledge, can change it. So you're just creating chaos. Maybe that was the point. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that there is some hope, and we don't have to deal with this crap. I don't know what they're going to do about pre-existing installations. Of course, I'm one of those dumbasses who gave Microsoft information. Microsoft knows who the hell I am. I'm sure they know where I live. They know my name. They know everything. They probably know my entire life story because I'm a dipstick. I'm a doofass who decided that, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and do this because I'm tired of this crap. I had to, if I wanted to keep, at one point I wanted to keep playing Minecraft. You kind of have to. Ow. You kind of have to. It's just something you kind of have to do. Anyhow, so I thought this was worth bringing up and talking about. I'm fixing to start dual booting between Windows and Linux, and I don't need to be worrying about being tracked on Linux. I'm already tracked on Windows. And I even said before, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. They're just creating chaos. Maybe they know that they would just create chaos, but I don't think that's it. I think they're just so ignorant in government that they thought they could get away with something like this and it would just work. It would work in their favor. But the problem is that a lot of Linux, the open source nature just prevents that crap, man. It just prevents it. This whole thing with trying to track human beings and everything is ridiculous. But here's the thing. If they remove that portion of the laws that includes Linux, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to see a tidal wave of people. Maybe not. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I think we'll see something of a tidal wave or close to a tidal wave of people just getting the hell. I mean, we already see a lot of people getting away from Windows and jumping on Linux. So, and I watched a whole video with Linus Tech sitting there, going just basically, in my opinion, to the wrong version of Linux. And it doesn't help that a lot of people are using NVIDIA. Like, I use AMD through and through. When I go to finally get going real good on, and the only reason I'm not fully on board with Linux is because I use Photoshop every now and then. I use a piece of software on Steam called Pixel Game Maker. I realize there's a follow-up now called Action Game Maker that is based on Godot, but that's the problem. It's based on Godot. It has a horrible interface. It's just confusing as hell. It's nowhere near as good as Pixel Game Maker. There is a long ways to go for that software to be good. So between those two softwares, um, I don't see it working out. Not really, not yet. I have to keep using Windows to an extent. So it's going to be the dual booting for a good while until somebody comes along with a piece of software just as easy to comprehend and use as Pixel Game Maker. And I guess once some of these other pieces of software catch up to Photoshop, but right now they're nowhere near Photoshop levels. Like, I've tried Affinity Photo. I've tried, this video's going on, I'm talking about stupid crap, but I've tried Affinity Photo, not quite there. It's not quite what I want. It feels like they were trying to duplicate Photoshop, but then they said, we got to change a few things just in case. Like the placement of things. Like, there's stuff where you expect to find it in a certain spot to do certain things, and it's not there because they intentionally made it somewhere else just to keep from getting into hot water legally with Photoshop. And of course, there's GIMP, which, don't get me started on GIMP. I've never been able to wrap my mind around GIMP. Somebody's going to have to, they're going to have to do a lot of heavy work to GIMP. I hate that you can't just go to save and save your or save what you're working on. Instead, you have to go to export every time. And my brain isn't taught to go to an export every time. It's frustrating. I really, really despise it. But the point I'm trying to make here is I have to dual boot. But when all is said and done, I'm done with Windows. Microsoft has screwed up so bad over the years. If I could go back to Windows XP, I'd go back to Windows XP. I love Windows XP. I love the interface. I love, there's a lot I love about that version of Windows. The user experience overall, I just love it. I'm not a big fan of everything that's come after it. Everything that's come after is just giving me a headache. But enough of my rambling. I thought it was worth talking about. I think there's a good chance that they'll remove it. They'll have to. Like, they're going to see a lot of weird chaos because, again, the open source nature doesn't allow this kind of insanity. It doesn't. It doesn't. Who are you going to go after? Okay, yeah, further upstream somewhere, the creators of the distribution, they'll go, okay, we'll add this in, but then people who are proficient enough with Linux further downstream, they're going to like, I can just make my own custom version, a fork, if you will, of that distribution of Linux and remove this frickin' nonsense. And then, they're not a company, they don't have money, they can just share that. The open source nature, man. And politicians are so freaking ignorant. They don't know anything. They just don't know. They just know what they want to do. But I'm telling you, this is not about children. It's never been about children. They're trying to get a wrangle on us. They're trying to control us. And the wild west nature of the internet is hard to control. They really can't control it. They're trying, but they can't. You can't control these things. You can't, Once that genie was let from the bottle, that's it. There's nothing that you're doing. You think you control it. You can't control it. Food for thought, man.